reached out and asked if you had read the indictment. You said you read it word for word, page for page, right?
I did. I keep up. I love Jackson.
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment.
They don't see it. My first statement was, think of your family. Think about your family. Put your family first.
I never thought in a million years we would have been put in the situation that we were in. Never. Because we went through our whole career doing the right thing.
It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on this cold Thursday night. Man, this weather is no joke. May get a little worse tonight, a little later on in certain parts of the state. So we want to advise you to be safe and be careful. All right. So make sure you're safe. Make sure you stay warm. We're monitoring the weather, right? So we've got some announcements coming if the weather gets bad. But I'm glad that you're here today. I'm excited because tonight it's all about hot topics and an open mic conversation. So tonight we're going to cover a wide range of topics, including, you may recall, an incident that happened a couple of years ago in Brookhaven, Mississippi, where a former FedEx driver was shot at. And just last week, the judge kind of dismissed that case. We're going to talk to DeMontario about that situation. We're going to talk about, what happened that day, what is he thinking about now, and how does he move forward in this space. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation with him. But this is an open mic conversation tonight. So in addition to that, we're going to touch a little bit on Jimmy Carter's funeral. We want to touch a little bit on the disrespect that the Republicans in Washington showed Vice President Kamala Harris. She presided over the January 6th, certifying the election. If you recall, 4 years ago on January the 6th, there was a riot. There was an insurrection that happened in our nation's capital. But this January the 6th, and by law, the vice president leads the Senate chamber. And by law, the vice president has to certify the elections. And she did that, right? She did that. So we want to talk about that. Hey, Tiffany, thank you for being here from Nashville. I know it's cold and snow is on the way there. Good to see you, man. I'm glad to have you here. Carol from Chattanooga, good to see you too. Thank you for being here. Candy, hello to you. Thank you all for being with us tonight. So we've got lots of hot topic conversations that we're going to get to tonight. But the first one, Brother Mike, how you doing, man? My man, Mike Espy, Happy New Year to you, sir. Glad to have you here. But we want to begin the conversation tonight with DeMontario Gibson. He is the former FedEx driver that was in Brookhaven, Mississippi. About 2 years ago, he was making a delivery. And though he had on his FedEx uniform, it is my understanding that maybe the vehicle that he was driving was not necessarily marked. And so we got to find out the ins and outs. And again, a judge ruled, he dismissed the case. The judge said that he dismissed it with prejudice, and so the case can't come back up. The Brookhaven Police Department has since terminated that officer. So what I want to do first, I want to bring DeMontario on so that we can get some backstory about what happened. Then I want to play the video of the leadership of Brookhaven terminating that officer's contract. And so we're going to bring Mr. Gibson in now. Mr. Gibson, how are you, sir? Think you're on mute, man.
Hey, yo, how you doing, Mr. Othor? I'm okay.
I'm doing good, brother. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I had better days, though, but Still moving.
I totally understand. Listen, here's what I want you to do for us. So, and I know it's probably difficult, hard to relive the past, right? But can you just kind of take us back to that dreadful day? Take us back to what actually happened. Set the scene for us so that we can better understand it.
All right, so I had been working at FedEx for about 6 months around this time. This was early January 2022, January 24th, 2022 to be exact. It was just like any other normal day at work for me. We usually scan our packages in with this work device that we have. It's called the Leo. So it holds all our addresses, all our customer information, and everything inside of there. They was working on putting this new map system inside of the Leo, but it wasn't up and running yet. So us new drivers who didn't know our routes, we basically used our cell phones to get around everywhere. In doing that, of course, a few times you may type the address in wrong and things of that nature. So on this particular day, I had typed the address in wrong. I think it was 117 Junior Trail, but I typed in 217 Junior Trail. So I'm gonna tell you how my route runs. Usually when I take my route, we do all the businesses first just to get them out the way because they're most important. They close at 5. Residences, we can do those at 7, 8 at night. We got like until 8 p.m. at least to do those. So I did all my businesses first. I also delivered to Boca Chica, which is right there by Brookhaven. So I was mostly delivering in that area. Around 7:20, this is like early January, so it's getting dark early and stuff like that. Around 7:20 though, around 7 o'clock, I make it back to Brookhaven, but around 7:20 specifically, I make it back to Junior Trail in order to try to deliver the package. As I'm going down the street, I'm looking for the address, but I don't see it because I typed it in wrong. So I tried to leave the street, but as I'm leaving, I look to my left and I notice a mailbox with 117 on it. And I'm like, okay, cool. They look kind of similar to 217. Let me check my Leo real quick so I can verify. I verified that there was the correct address, and it's a small strip of land. So I drove towards the houses, 2 houses on the same plot of land, 2 houses. You don't know which one is which. It's just the mailbox is just right there. So I just delivered it to the first house that was the closest to me. I hopped out the truck, put the package on the porch, hopped back in the truck, clicked on my next stop, and started trying to drive. As I'm getting ready to leave, I noticed a white pickup truck coming from the second house that's on the same plot of land behind me. So I'm thinking he just leaving on some normal stuff. He started getting like extremely close to me, and as I'm like trying to leave the road, because like I said, it's a 1-car lane. Only 1 car can go at a time. He swerved around me like going through trash cans and all type of stuff, and he tried to block me in, but I swerved around him. So I go down about 2 or 3 houses, and his son, which I don't want to say like just his son because I didn't know who they were at the time. The only reason I knew who they were was I found out later through the police. But let me just finish the story. His son was actually standing in the middle of the street with a gun pointed directly at my window trying to get me to stop. He was just doing this like this. He was like, stop. And I'm just shaking my head. No, and I'm hiding behind the steering wheel and I swerve around him. And like, as I'm doing this, my manager actually had called me because she was trying to make sure I was okay. And as I'm leaving the street, I see that they still chasing me or whatever. So I'm telling her, I'm like, these people are shooting at me, this, that, and the third. And she was like, they shooting at you. And I'm like, yes, they shooting at me. Cause she had called me, so she was the only person I could talk to. And she heard some of the gunshots going off. Like she was a witness and everything. But I ended up getting towards the end of the road. I noticed they still behind me. So I'm just, at this point, I'm almost running red lights, but like everything was in my favor. So everything was turning green. They chased me all the way from Junior Trail to the edge of the city in Brookhaven, which is the highway. And then after that, I rode down about 10, 15 minutes until I felt safe. And I called my boss. And told him everything that happened. And he told me, oh man, we're handling it tomorrow. I ain't feel comfortable with it. So I took it upon myself to call the police. By the time I had called them, though, I was a few cities over because, like I said, I had got chased to the highway and I'm just driving down the highway at this point, 10, 15 minutes down. So it took me a little while to get back to the Brookhaven Police Department. Once I finally did reach the Brookhaven Police Department, though, I spoke with this operator and I told him everything that was going on. And I was like, these guys, I would like to report a crime. These guys just shot at me and things of that nature. And he was like, let me ask you a question. Were you just over here at Junior Trail? And I was like, yes, sir, I was. He was like, well, we just got a report of a suspicious person Um, a suspicious person in the neighborhood. I said, no, sir, I'm not a suspicious person. I work for FedEx. I was delivering a package. I'm just doing my job. Okay, cool. After that, he told me who they were. These are the people that called. That's how I found out their names. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but the case is over now. So Brandon and Gregory case is their names, and I found all this out through the police. So the person over the phone actually told me, my supervisor isn't here right now. Come back tomorrow, which is why I couldn't go back that same night. No police were actually there to go back from what I was told. So I drive back to the station. I tell them everything that happened. They start checking my van. They get pictures of bullet holes. It was a bullet that was on the back of my van all the way from Brookhaven. I don't know how. Well, I do know how. It was God. But the bullet was on the back of my truck all the way from Brookhaven. And like a lot of packages had bullet holes in them. And like the closest package that had a bullet hole was right behind me. After that, I wrote my statements to FedEx, and the next day we had went to the police station. So this is really like where the story starts, like kind of like get short and end, like just on that particular night of the incident. We go to the police station the next day. Me and my manager, they wanted me to run the same route. By the way, they wanted me to run the same route. So we go to the police station and we talked to 3 different police officers. The first officer, he took my statement. Sorry, put this down. Sorry. The first officer, he took my statement, and he kept changing it up. Like I'm telling him exactly what's going on because I could see everything vividly. Like when something like that happened to you, you just don't forget. So I'm telling him word for word, bar for bar, and I'm like, no, sir, that's not what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened. He do this like 3 or 4 times. All right. He finally gave my story right. There was a second officer sitting in the room with us as he was taking my story. And he was like, well, let me just play devil's advocate. Did you do anything to make them want to shoot at you? And I was like shocked. And I was just like, huh? I'm like, no, sir. I was just doing my job, which I really shouldn't even answer the question because it was disrespectful. Right. But after that, I went and talked to Officer Vincent Fernando, which is the main reason my case got thrown out and dismissed and stuff like that. And he just took me to the interrogation room. He got my statement. He let me write my statement down, this, that, and the third. And that was the end of it. Like it, and I want to say this real quick, just so we just for the sake of the story. The tape of me being in the interrogation room, telling them what happened and stuff, is the very tape that got the case thrown out because he didn't turn that in. For what reason? I don't know. But that's all that was on that tape. A lot of people want to be like, what's on the tape? It's literally just me writing what happened. Why did he not turn it in? I don't know. But after that, they asked me to get in the car with them and go back to the scene of the crime to help them look for bullets and find the criminals. So the first house we go to is the house where the white pickup truck was coming from. The father wasn't home, so they said they only found the maid, so they went to the son's house. Found out that he was at work. After that, they came back to the car and they was like, hey, do you want to help us look for bullet fragments? And I was like, huh? But I said yes. So we looked around, no bullet fragments or nothing like that. Ended up going to the job. I stayed in the car and they went and interrogated the son, I'm guessing. And they just came back and nothing happened after that for 8 days. They didn't arrest the man. The police chief down there said he was too scared to arrest them. So they gave themselves 8 days. They gave them 8 days to turn themselves in. And well, I don't want to say they gave them 8 days, but 8 days later they turned themselves in type thing. Gotcha. So yeah, after they didn't even spend an hour in jail. After that, we spent like 9 months of protesting to get these charges brought towards them, and they just like kept telling me no and stuff like that. So we were down there for 9 months until December, and that's when they got indicted, and the trial was in August of 2023.
Got it. Wow, man. I know that's tough to go back through that. I got a couple of questions though. So was your vehicle unmarked? It was an unidentifiable FedEx vehicle that you were in?
I'm glad you asked that, Mr. Othor. It was a perfect question to ask because people keep pushing this narrative. It was not unmarked. It was a Hertz vehicle. Now it was a rental, but even since I was a kid, I've seen Hertz, and I know that those are company vans. It was big Hertz letters all over it. I had a big purple FedEx uniform on with a big reflector jacket on it, say FedEx and everything. Nothing was unmarked. Nothing looked suspicious whatsoever, in my personal opinion.
Got it. So it was a Hertz vehicle that your company rented for you to use.
Yes, sir.
Got it. And Hertz was clearly identified on the truck.
As big as this screen, Mr. Othor.
Wow. And so you pull up in this driveway, you drop this package off, you're leaving just like a normal stop, just a normal delivery. And then all of a sudden you start hearing this commotion and this truck chasing you, trying to block you in, and you literally hear gunshots.
Literally, that's exactly what happened. Me and these guys had no words. We didn't have any type of confrontation, but I came to find out later through a few court documents that they had made several calls to each other back and forth that night. So obviously they were watching me when I was already in the neighborhood, and that's how it came about. A lot of people be like, well, no, he had to be doing something. No, I wasn't. Literally, I didn't do anything.
Right. And so, Mr. Gibson, you said that the officer who took you into the interrogation room, tell me what happened in that room. What did you do? What did you say? What did you do?
I just wrote my statement down. I had just told the first officer my statement, and he wrote it down. So when he brought me in the room, he was like, "I need you to write your statement again for the camera and things of that nature. We got to just show that you're getting it down." And I'm like, "I got to write it down again." I just told him what happened, and he was like, "Yes, we need it in your own words." So I wrote my statement down. I believe he even left the room while I was writing the statement. I think I was just in there by myself writing the statement, to be honest with you. And then I told him when I was done, and that was the end of that.
Wow. And so the judge literally said that evidence was not submitted in a timely fashion. What was the judge's ruling as to why he tossed this out?
So according to the judge, and I just want people to be aware, at no point in time were they never said to be not guilty. I'm gonna get back to that part later. But I'm gonna answer your question first. The judge basically said that the DA office, as well as the Brookhaven Police Department, as well as Vincent Fernando, who was the lead investigator, withheld evidence intentionally, which means, they were just holding back evidence. There was always some more evidence popping up. Now, the thing about this is that that kind of sparks my brain is they say the trial wasn't fair and speedy, but in the first trial, their lawyers kept trying to get a mistrial. So obviously y'all didn't want a fair and speedy trial. Two, the thing that got the trial thrown out was that tape in the interrogation room that we were just talking about. It got it thrown out, right? It got a mistrial. And we had the rule in September if we was going to throw the case out or continue the case after that. Now, the judge ruled that he was going to continue the case. This was in like September, October 2024. After that, I'm just waiting for the court date. Next thing I know, January 6th, pop up. I haven't heard nothing about a court date. I haven't heard from them in months. They told me it was going to be around springtime. I just hear that the judge dismissed the case. Wow. I received no type of notification. I'm asking, like, did he just wake up and change his mind? Like, was there a meeting? What happened? I don't know anything. I asked the DA's office. They said they don't know, and they don't know what to tell me.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. No notification. You just wake up just like we all did to find out that the judge had made this ruling.
Believe it or not, that's how I found out about most of the things in my case. I just wake up and I find out later on.
Wow. So what are you thinking? What are you feeling now?
I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. Ortho. I can speak very freely now. This was very sabotaged from the very beginning. If you don't know, these guys had relatives in the police station, which is why they didn't want to go out there that night. At the time, they had, first of all, let me say this name first. Chief Kenneth Collins, black police chief in this city. You would think he would be for the brothers. This man was the main antagonist in this story. He was intimidating me. He threatened me multiple times and always treated me like a suspect. I tried to talk to him. I asked him to his face, "Hey, what did I do? Like, why are you treating me like this?" This man looked just like this. Did not acknowledge me. Never once acknowledged me as a person. Never once acknowledged me as a victim. When we went down there to protest for those 9 months, guess what they did? They put security on the shooter's house, and they antagonized us and arrested people that were with me. That's what they did, and that's Chief Kenneth Collins. Now, as I was saying about them having people
Collins
related,
is a black man.
He is a black man.
Got him.
On the outside, but excuse me, but They had his assistant police chief, Clint Earl, is married into the Case family. They also had the police officer that was over, the detective that was over there first was Chris Case. His last name is literally Case. He's related to them. He stepped down because he didn't want to handle the case because those are his relatives. Right. So what did they do then? They then gave it to Vincent Fernando. And it was already botched from the beginning. So the plan was to keep getting mistrial, to keep getting dates back to back, because they knew that if we had went to court, they were going to go to jail. Their lawyers never said they weren't guilty. This is what their lawyers said when I was in court with them. Hey, they did it for this reason. They were trying to help him. They thought he was stuck. Never once said they didn't do it. And people still don't believe this story to this day. Obviously, y'all not keeping up with it, because if y'all don't believe their lawyers telling y'all that they did it, who else do y'all believe?
Wow. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm 27. I was 24 when this happened. That's how long I've been fighting this.
24 years old when it happened. 24 years old. Wow. Wow. Do you think there's an opportunity to find justice? I know that the judge dismissed it, and he dismissed it in a fashion where it can't be tried or brought up again. But do you think there's an opportunity to find justice at all?
I mean, God has to let us say so, Mr. Othor. Like, honestly, I ain't even gonna lie to you. When I've been like messed up about this. Like, I ain't been eating. I ain't been like doing nothing. Like, I just don't want to do nothing. But people around me, they love me. I got a lot of support. They trying to give me the strength to keep fighting this. We do have like things that we could possibly do. It's so many tight deadlines, 2 weeks, 1 month, and things of that nature. And I'm trying to get it done because I have to find a new lawyer. I also found out like after the dismissal, when I called my lawyer to see what our next move was, that he wasn't my lawyer no more. So I'm just like left in a state of limbo and things of that nature. Yeah, I'm not gonna speak bad to my lawyer, though. He did help me out a lot and things of that nature, but I did find that, kind of disrespectful, like to find out after that fact and stuff. So now I'm trying to find a new lawyer to help me push this case. I got to go get all type of documents to see what's going on and things of that nature. I do have a civil suit going on, but like I said, I don't have a lawyer. My old lawyer filed it, so I have to figure out what I'm gonna do. That's why I say everything is on a deadline. If it don't happen within a certain period of time, it's probably just gonna be over with and stuff like that, and they're just gonna get away with it, unfortunately.
This is absolutely unbelievable to me. Absolutely unbelievable. Now you find yourself without legal representation. So you're just out here on your own, trying to figure all of this stuff out on your own.
Trying to figure it out. I don't know what to do, where to go. I'm just going by the grace of God.
Wow. So I know that you've been dealing with an organization, Black Lives Matter. Is Brother Marquell with us tonight?
Unfortunately, he couldn't be here. He had some family obligations.
Gotcha.
So yeah, he couldn't be here. But
so let me ask you this though, man. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking that you want to do?
Okay, I wanted the Attorney General. Oh wait, they're gonna Marquell right there. He's on. You have to add him to the call. Okay, I'm sorry, but I wanted the Attorney General to appeal the case because there's a law. It's 99-49-1 ... preservation of evidence, and it basically says that if we can prove that evidence had been tampered with or purposely manipulated, which according to the judge ruling, it was done intentionally out of his own mouth, that they could possibly appeal it. But he told me he didn't want to appeal it. I asked it, and I can't even get a conversation with the DA no more. Just so you know, when the case is going on, I could talk to him, but barely. I set up a meeting with him. He never wanted to meet with me, but I spoke with his assistant. She said he's not going to appeal it. I said why? She said these are her exact words. This has nothing to do with it, but he's seen some things that your mother said about him online, and he feels away.
Oh my goodness.
So I asked her, I said, if that has nothing to do with it, why is it being brought up? And she put me on hold. And after that, I didn't get no answers. So that's where they at with it. And they main concern, like they never reached out to me either. They've antagonized me multiple times. I'll argue with the DA's office just for them to do their job. And their biggest concern was what people were saying about them online. And I'm like, they gave me their word. They told me, hey, if you get people to stop talking about us online, we will do our best for you, which I shouldn't have to do anyway. Y'all should just do y'all job.
Control people, man. You can't control people.
You know, so I do get some of my supporters to stop doing it, and they still stab me in the back and lie to me, and I trusted them.
Unbelievable. Marquel is here now. Hey, brother, how you doing, man?
Doing well. How you doing, brother? Thanks for having me.
Man, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking the time. So when you hear this young brother's case and what he's dealing with right now, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's extremely hurtful. It's extremely disheartening. That's my little brother, you know, and we locked in from the very beginning, and just to hear him tell me, you know, and to watch him do everything the right way, trust the system, play by the rules, speak up, not be afraid, and to be handled this way. You know, it's just like Emmett Till all over again. Only thing DeMonterio survived. 67 years for them with no justice, and just watching. You think we move further along, but we still in the same spot. Still in the same spot. Corruption on every turn. Hearing that the Mississippi grand jury says the Brookhaven Police Department is incompetent. The judge now making people realize what we've been saying is true, that they are destroying cases. In 2015, it was 15 unsolved murders in this small town, you know, all black bodies, because of the incompetence of this department, such as Bridget London and Julian Gayton and so many others. So it's just a tragedy. And like he said, when we first arrived there, seeing that it was really psychologically damaging, seeing that this trauma was coming from a Sambo, what was supposed to be a black man. You know, from the first time we arrived, he attacked us, he threatened us, you know, watching them put 2 police officers to guard the suspects, and nobody was ever planning on doing nothing to the suspects, but just to watch DeMonterio be treated like a suspect, just trying to press charges, just trying to do anything to get justice until it's true. It's been extremely heartbreaking. We've held hope. We've exercised our constitutional right. 9 months, you know, 9 months of our life was dedicated to them upgrading the charges and actually arresting and charging these guys. And it's just like 1 step forward, 3 steps back.
Wow. Now, how were you drawn to this case? How did you get involved?
Well, I'm actually not Black Lives Matter anymore. I run Building Bridges for Community Unity and Progress. I know everybody knows me because I fight police brutality. I'm sorry, let me put my child down. That's what I was doing. Excuse me. And I extremely apologize. I got a newborn baby girl. But everyone knows me from that. You know, God just gave me a purpose. I began to research and study these cases, and I could never find the narrative of the families. What was the family saying about their loved one being killed? What was the family saying about all of the injustice? You could never find anything. They say only thing you could find was the police narrative. Then I began to look, and I wanted to see, okay, well, let me see how many of these officers done went to jail, or these racists done went to jail for killing unarmed brothers. And it was less than 1% out of hundreds and thousands of people. Wow. So I began to be active. I began to work in my community, and I began to build. So in Mississippi, people begin to know to reach out to me for advocacy, for raising awareness, and support. And I don't call myself an activist. I call myself a completionist, because when I lock in with a family, you know, we're going all the way to the end. And you know, I'm just so proud of DeMonterio. Regardless of how it turns out, I watched him stand up where other people were cowards, where other people were fearful. I watched this 24-year-old young black brother, educated, hardworking man, stand up and tell his truth and not be afraid
and
of
not back down, man. I mean, he's standing on his truth, and that's what's so impressive to me. You know, I watched the news clips over and over and over again. You know, from day one up until now, and DiMontario was very impressive to me, and I was like, I've got to reach this brother. I've got to figure out how to connect with this young man, because he stands on his truth. He's very solid. He's unwavering, right? And his story has not changed, and he's very, 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 very solid. So I think that we have a clip. So DiMontario, give me the officer's name in the interrogation room again.
Vincent
Vincent Fernando. And so I think my producer has a clip. I think Vincent wanted to resign on his own. He wanted to resign, but I think that the Board of Aldermen got ahead of that and say, no, you know, forget about resigning. We're going to terminate you for your incompetency. And it sounds to me like it almost was deliberate, you know, of withholding.
Yes.
Information. It seemed like a very deliberate action to me. But we're going to take a look at this clip. This is, in my mind, I think this is the clip where the board decided that, no, we're not going to accept your resignation, but what we are going to do is terminate you. So let's take a look at this clip.
Voted unanimously tonight to remove Detective Vincent Fernando from the police department. The Reader Side's Chris Fields has more information about what that decision, as well as another change that will come later this year.
Well, it didn't take long for the board to make their decision, as they went immediately into executive session once the meeting began. Now, Fernando, who has served on the force for decades, will no longer hold his position with the Brookhaven Police Department. After 15 minutes in executive session, Mayor Joe Cox announced that Fernando submitted a letter of resignation with an effective date of January 31st, 2025.
I move that this board does not accept his resignation of Mr. Vincent Fernando, but alternatively seek his termination dismissal.
As Alderman Andre Spiller reads the motion.
Second. Got a motion, second. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 The motion was put on a vote where all board members voted to dismiss Detective Vincent Fernando from his position immediately.
With the court-ordered dismissal of the FedEx case, it is important to note this administration and the Board of Aldermen will not shirk from our responsibility to make tough, logical decisions to seek professionalism in our city police department.
And I don't think that that's all Mr. Vincent's. I don't think it's all on him. And I feel like more people should be discharged than him, because it's not all his fault.
Some who attended the meeting were not happy with the board's decision.
I believe he turned in what he's supposed to, and maybe someone lost the paperwork that they supposed to have turned in. That's possible. But as far as I'm concerned, he's always done his job the way he's supposed to have done it. Why is this the first time that he lost paperwork?
That's $1 million question. Why is this the first time that he's lost paperwork? DiMontario, that decision by the Board of Aldermen and the mayor, how does that make you feel?
I ain't gonna lie, Mr. Othor, I really want to cuss up a storm right now, but I'm not gonna do that. But I'm gonna just say pissed. I'm so pissed, because I can literally show you comments from 2 weeks ago or days prior to this where they already said that they was gonna fire him and stuff like this. Them taking 15 minutes to deliberate was just a courtesy that they gave him. They knew this in advance. Like, this guy's literally the scapegoat. Like that lady was saying, she knows this man has 20 years of experience. When I first met him, and I'm not even just vouching for him. At some point in time, he did mess up, unfortunately. But when I first met him, he was the only officer in that department that was determined to solve my case. And I can God honestly say that when I first met him, he was the only officer that was interested. The police chief was running from us. He told her, he lied, and so I tried to meet with him. He said, "Oh, I'm 2 towns over. We see him running to the police station. The assistant police chief following us around, can't get into contact with nobody. He was the only person, but they want to try to blame it and put it all on him. No, he's just the fall guy, and it's crazy, but it is what it is. Though the people can't see the truth, and the weird prejudice is just nail in the coffin. Like, we're not bringing this back up. You know, why not? Y'all never said they wasn't guilty. If it's a possibility they could be guilty, what? It's just frustrating.
So then you believe that that 15-minute deliberation and going through all of that was just a show. They already knew they were going to do. You think that was just
Brother Cain, I would like to interject briefly. DeMonterio is spot on, and I implore everybody to go watch the court TV of the first mistrial. Vincent Fernando testified that he requested all evidence from the IT department of the Brookhaven Police Department. He was just as shocked as we was when they didn't have him. It's like them even asking that question. So ask yourself this. The DA is supposed to know everything that exists in the case. So how do you move forward without, like, I knew that DeMonterio initially gave a statement. He knew he initially gave a statement. The DA knew, Vincent Fernando knew. But why did you go forward with the trial without having it? And then the defense just subtly, the next person to testify was DeMonterio. Vincent Fernando had a video of the father, Gregory Case, admitting to shooting at DeMonterio. He caught on body cam Brandon, the son, admitting to it at his job, and then they pull this up to try to make him look bad. I'm convinced that this was a plan and this was a way to get it thrown out. I'll give you another reason. So the DA, because of this, him intentionally withholding evidence, that means that the DA violated what they call a Brady law, discovery law. But you don't hear anything about a Brady investigation being launched into the DA office. All they're talking about is Vincent Fernando, but he's the only one that actually tried to help. They wouldn't even, Kenny Sambo Collins is what I call him. He told Mississippi Free Press he was scared to go arrest Brandon and Greg. You the police chief. How are you scared to go arrest somebody? Vincent Fernando is the only one that stood up. Did he? And on the first trial, it came out that Vincent Fernando has 10 years with the CIA. He's the most competent person in the department. And this is who you use at the scapegoat. But who has the power to tell the IT department not to turn something over? All he can do is request it to be sent over to the DA. He came to court with a video that was gonna be the nail in their coffin. They wouldn't even let him play it. They wouldn't even let him say that he found the shell casings at Brandon Case's house. They had already worked a deal to exclude that from evidence. And then they asked him about it and tried to force him to lie and commit perjury. And he said, yeah, I took pictures of shell casings and a gun. And then they were, oh, you weren't supposed to say that. Well, why did you ask him that question?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It was a game the whole time. The only way these two racist white men could walk was a mistrial. DeMonterio has said the same. I met, from the time I met him, it's going on 3 years. His story hasn't changed one single fact. You know, we pictures.
His story has not changed publicly either. I mean, he's been very solid. He's been very solid, very consistent, very intentional, even. You know, but it sounds like he has to get some new legal representation. Somebody that's dogmatic enough to say, you know what, I know the judge dismissed this thing with prejudice, but there has to be another way around.
Definitely, I think God's gonna work it out. We're gonna find another way. But I just want everybody to understand, and the community and your viewers to understand, what do you do when the police intentionally withheld evidence? When the DA intentionally withhold evidence?
How do you beat the system?
And they're being transparent about it. Like this is not something we're making up. The Mississippi grand jury launched a private investigation into Brookhaven Police Department, and they said that they treat victims like suspect. They don't investigate it. Everything that we were saying, the Mississippi grand jury said that they're incompetent. They don't use the stuff at their disposal. We're talking about 15 Brookhaven. If you ever been to Brookhaven, it's super small.
Yeah, I've been
15
several times.
unsolved murders of black bodies because they're incompetence, because they're misplacing evidence. They're not doing their job right, and our people are suffering. And I hate that DeMonterio had to go through this, but he has been the catalyst to expose the corruption, and it runs deep.
It runs deep. Wow. DeMonterio, man, I feel your pain. I know you want to cuss, right? You know, I know you want to scream. I feel you, but brother, you know, you're strong, man. To go through this and to still be standing like you are, man. You're very strong, brother. And I commend you. I commend your focus. You know, there are not very many young men as strong as you, as smart as you, that can stand up and go through all of this and still, you know, be as brave, still speak truth to power, you know, like you're doing, young brother. So I commend you for that. I
I
absolutely
appreciate it, Mr. Othor.
I absolutely do, man. Listen, brother. I don't know where you go next. I don't know. I'm gonna try to get as many lawyers as I can to look at this video to see, you know, what kind of advice they can give or if they can reach out to you. I don't think your story is over. You know, I know it's tough now, but I don't think that the story is over. Not by a long shot, brother. Not by a long shot.
Yeah, and my hope is not, you know, it is kind of hard to carry on though, especially after all this time and stuff. And I know a lot of people, they be saying I'm strong, but like I ain't even gonna lie, I feel like weak most days and stuff like this. Like I do this off the whim. If it wasn't for Marquell always being in my corner and trying to encourage me and stuff, like he know a long time ago I would have been stopped doing this and talking about this stuff. Man, he always keep me on track though. Anytime I think about just stop doing it though. So I want to give big shout out, big blessings to him. And yeah, that's definitely my brother for life. Ever since I met him, since day one, he been standing beside me, and he check on me as a person and not just another family that he helped. Like we actually family and stuff now.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. That speaks volumes, Marquell. That speaks volumes, man. So listen, DeMonterio, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to just share your thoughts, share some closing thoughts. What do you want people to know? You know, how can we help? What do you want folks to know?
All right, so the best way to help is to keep attention on this story. Like I beg y'all, please don't let this die. I know a lot of times stories don't really make it too. Like my story was big, but it wasn't too big. Most of the stories that make it on big news is people that die. And you know what I'm saying? They're not here to speak for themselves. You actually got somebody that's here that made it through it, and that's alive that can actually speak for themselves, though. So, you know, all I need is support and backup and people to not let this die. Y'all should be angry. I'm not saying like y'all should feel my pain, but it's a disrespect to black people, and it's still showing us that it's 2024 and we still can do things to y'all. Y'all can't do nothing about it. This is what we allow. There's not how the way the world. There's not. I know a lot of people say this the way the world is. No, that's not how the world is. The world is what we allow. If everything burned down today, it won't be nothing here but ash. There won't be no judicial system. There won't be no cities. There won't be nothing. We allow things, and it's time for a change. A lot of people got to stop being scared. I hear people these days saying that, oh, if I was back in slavery days, I wouldn't go for that. You know how strong you had to be back then and make it to what we had now? Them people are stronger than us. And they knew they had to make sacrifices. They knew they had to die. They knew some of them were going to jail. They knew some of them were going to get hurt. That's just what life is. You gonna let your oppressors oppress you because you're scared? No. So I just want people to not let this story die because I'm not.
Very well spoken, brother. Very well spoken. Marquell, you got final thoughts?
Just want to let everybody know to please put pressure on the DA. The DA has the power to appeal this on the Mississippi Code 99-49-1 and the Victims' Bill of Rights. There were federal civil rights violations of DeMonterio. So I implore everyone to look up Mississippi Code 99-49-1 and call the DA's office, Brookhaven DA's office, Mr. Adams, and get him to ask him why he's not appealing this, why he's not supporting the victim, because he does have the power to appeal the judge's ruling. To continue to push the criminal side, I implore all attorneys to please contact DeMonterio so he can get some type of civil justice and accountability that way. We need our people. There's going to be a mass movement, so just answer the call. My final thoughts is, when we call on our people, answer the call.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Marquel, brother, I know DeMonterio appreciates you, but we all do, man. Thank you for sticking by. Thank you for sticking by. DeMonterio, you have my full support, brother. So whatever it is that I can do on my end, I stand ready to help in any way. In any way that I can help, I stand ready, brother.
I appreciate it, Mr. Othor. I'm gonna lock in. We locked in any updates. I'm gonna keep you updated and everything.
Please do that, brother. Please do that. I got your number locked in. Put it on speed dial. I'm here for you. I'm one phone call away. All right.
All right. I appreciate you for the opportunity. Thank you,
yes, sir. Thank you both. We appreciate
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you, all you do.
Thank you, sir. Man, that's tough. But the fight continues. It's 2025. But the fight continues, man. It continues. And this is right in our backyard. Brookhaven is nowhere from here. This is right in our backyard. And so I implore all of you, we've got to get behind that young man. And whatever it is that we can do, we need to do it. So when the clarion call goes out, I want to encourage you to answer that call. 2025, we're still dealing with stuff like this. I think this is a great segue at this point to talk quickly about the SAG to Suit event. Great segue, because we've got to save our young men. We've got to save our young men. All right. So certainly need your support. Saturday, June 14th. Our SAG to Suit event will take place at the Old Capitol Inn on State Street. We've got a lot to do between now and then, but you can get involved and help us buy suits for these young men. There's a QR code there. Scan that QR code, man. Help us out. We are trying to get 100 young men in suits and pair them with 100 men, right, for a day of investment, for a day of transformation, for a day of change. If we want to get a hold and better our communities, let's grab these young boys and take them along with us. Not be afraid of them, not just talk about them, but let's reach them. Let's get on their level. Let's reach them. Let's put them in a suit. Let's put them in a suit. I know what a suit did for me the very first time that I wore one. And a black man gave me my first suit. Changed my mindset completely. There's the flyer. We can talk the talk all day long. Here's an opportunity to get involved. Let's get 100 boys in suits. Father's Day weekend, Saturday, June 14th. We're going to have a pairing ceremony. We're going to do a shopping spree, and we're just going to do life with these boys. We're just going to pour life into these young men. And we need all of you. We need your help. We need your support. There's the flyer. There's the QR code. Take your phone, scan that QR code. Follow the prompts. Help us, right? We sit, we gossip, we watch the news. We see all of these things happening. We see all these folk telling our own stories. Here's an opportunity for us to be in control of our own narrative. This is the opportunity to do it. All right, scan that code and let's make it happen. Let's make a difference. Let's stop talking about it. Let's be about it. Right? Let's stop talking about it. Let's be about it. All right. It's 8:50. Let's get a couple of more thoughts in. All right. So what about this utter disrespect? What about this utter disrespect that this senator's husband showed Vice President Harris. What about this utter disrespect, man? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. For those of you who were kind of fooled for a minute right after the elections, for those of you who really thought that those people were telling the truth, let me share something with you. This election was absolutely never about the economy. That's BS that they want you to believe, right? Wasn't about the economy at all. It's not about the high price of eggs and bacon, though high, yeah, absolutely, though high. But this election was never about the economy. This election was never about whether or not Vice President Harris was strong on policy. None of that. This was about hate. This was about bigotry. This was about racism. This was about power. This frail little man, had she just blown hard enough, he probably would have tilted over, right? Had she just blown hard enough, he probably would have just tilted over. It was blatant disrespect, man. Blatant disrespect. You don't have to go to dinner with me. You don't have to like me. But when you're on a national stage, when you have that kind of platform, you've got to respect the office, man. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like me. Respect the office. The lady just extended her hand. And it was fully understood that he didn't want to be there. She said in the beginning, oh, I'm not going to bite. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know if we have that clip that we can show. Blatant disrespect. Just blatant disrespect.
Hi. Do you want to come here, Bruce? No. Okay, we'll bite. I'm not going to bite. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Do you solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States? Congratulations. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Congratulations to you. Thank you. Okay, sure. Okay.
Blatant disrespect. It's just the sheer ignorance of it all. Just the sheer ignorance of it all. There's absolutely no excuse for that behavior. You just cannot justify that. You just cannot justify that. You can't justify that behavior. You can't justify that behavior. You just cannot justify that behavior. So for those of you who thought for a minute that there was some sense to the narrative that this election was about the economy, about Vice President Harris not being strong in the policy arena, about the cost of bacon and eggs, though high, yes. Come on, man. Come on, man. Never about any of that. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's racism personified. Bigotry personified. But he's the one that looked like the idiot. He's the idiot. I am telling you, God is good. God knows where to put you. He knows what platform to give you. He knows what rooms to put you in. Because I'm telling you, I don't think I would have exercised the kind of grace that Vice President Harris exercised during that encounter. I'm just telling you about me. I don't know that I would have been that graceful at all. Not by a long shot. I know that I'm a work in progress, right? You know that saying, God is not done with me. He's not through with me yet. That's my testimony daily. That's my testimony daily. There's no way that I could have exuded that kind of grace. I'm just telling you about Othor. There's no way. It's unexcusable, man. Unexcusable. And I went through all kinds of scenarios. And admittedly, several people pointed out to me, what if? What if this? What if that? What if? Several people did. And while I absolutely respect them for trying to push me in the direction of looking at it differently, I land in the same place every single time. That was ignorance and bigotry personified for me. That's what it was. For me, that's what it was, man. That's absolutely what it was. All right? Crazy, right? Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, we got a couple more minutes. If you got something on your mind, you got a topic that you want us to shout out real quick before we get out of here, we are open to it. We're absolutely open to it. We're absolutely open to it. If you got a topic or something you want us to talk about real quick, we are absolutely open to it. Absolutely open to it. Y'all, it's cold. All right. So if you're out and about, you got to be safe. Got to protect yourselves, right? You've absolutely got to protect yourselves. Because the weather might get bad. Might get a little worse. All right. All right. So if you don't have anything, then we're going to go on and get ready to get out of here. Thank you for putting that QR code up. That's a way that you can donate to the show. We absolutely appreciate you. Can't do this without you. We absolutely depend on you. So thank you. Thank you for all of your support. We've got some packages that we're getting out on the street to say thank you. So we really do appreciate. If you want to reach out to us and find out how you could be a supporter and advertise on this show, reach out to us, hit us up. You can inbox us, you can call us. The Cash App screen is Cash App information is scrolling across your screen as well. We absolutely need you, and we appreciate you. Every single penny that we get, we absolutely appreciate it. We can't do this, quite frankly, we can't do it without you. So thank you for your support, for all that you do. All right. So I'll tell you, we're going to try to get these hot topics intertwined into the show on a regular, right? Because we recognize that you've got some things that you want to talk about. You got some stories you want us to cover. So you got to let us know, right? We consider ourselves to be the people's reporter. So you got to reach out to us and let us know what's on your mind. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. It's good to be back this week. Seems like we've been gone for forever, but it's good to be back this week. If you're out and about this weekend, I look forward to seeing you Saturday at the Lynx Mardi Gras Ball. The Lynx Mardi Gras Ball is this Saturday at the Convention Center, so we're looking forward to being there. Their masquerade ball. We're looking forward to being there on Saturday. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being with us. Shouts out to Dr. J, our super producer. We certainly do appreciate you, man. We appreciate all of your hard work. And we thank all of you for being with us tonight. From all of us at the Othor Cain Show. Have a good night.